All right, welcome to Live from my drum room. My guest is drummer and recording artist extraordinaire, composer and educator, Benny Greb. Benny was one of my guests on episode 227 to celebrate our friend Ralph Angelillo, founder of Montreal Drum Festival. If you haven't seen that episode, be sure to check it out, and I'll put the link in the show notes. In fact, the first time I saw Benny perform was at Montreal Drum Fest in 2005. 20 years ago this month. I was completely floored and became a huge fan from that day on. Not surprisingly, during the past 20 years, he's evolved into one of the most important and influential drummers of his generation. Now, here's a disclaimer. There are so many facets to Benny that will barely scratch the surface today, but we'll do a deep dive into some of his many projects. And anything we don't cover will be referenced in the show notes. I promise you that. But for now, come along for the ride and please welcome the great Benny Greb. All right.
Here I am. Okay, all right.
All right. Welcome, Benny.
Hey, thanks for having me. That's awesome. Thanks.
My pleasure. Thanks for being here. It's so great to see you. It's an honor and a pleasure. I feel
man.
like, yeah, man, I I was talking about the show you did when we celebrated our friend Ralph Angelillo.
Yeah.
And we had met a number of times through the years, you and me, but I really felt like I got to know you better leading up to that show and then during that show, and
Right.
I've been so looking forward to having you as a standalone guest. So thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
I no pressure, but Jeff Hamilton said, "You got me out of bed for this." Oh man, we're already on our way. Oh my God.
Brutal as always. I love Jeff.
I do too.
He would also deserve a mention later on. He's been very, very, or why not now, but later on, Jeff. No, but he's been very important in my, figuring out a couple of things on this instrument and also being introduced to a certain kind of, I don't know, work ethic and beauty of this instrument. And I mean, of course, there are a lot of guys that we meet over the years, but I mean, Jeff has been a very special one for me. So, yeah.
I get it. Yeah. I mean, Jeff has so much soul in his playing, I mean, you can't come away from seeing or hearing him without just everything about him is just, he's just it's like in his essence, and I honestly, I feel you're the same way. The first time I saw you perform at Montreal Drum Fest, I became a big fan that day. I remember talking to Norbert.
Thank you so much.
Our friend Norbert Saman from Meinl.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I think I said something like, where do you find these guys? Like, but he was very proud of being, Meinl being the one that brought you to the show. And that really, I know, helped get things started for you. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was instrumental in before my career, if you would even call it that, was very local, definitely like nationwide, if at all. And I mean, I was beginning 20s back then, and I just tried to figure stuff out, move to the big city and tried to get my foot on the ground kind of and do what I love, hopefully. And then of course Norbert, and who was on board back then already, the Sonar guy Milan is not there anymore.
Yeah.
But they were kind of, hey, this guy can, this guy, we could maybe send him to do stuff like that. And so, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I heard in the introduction, it is like almost like a 20-year anniversary now, right?
I know. And it's just really kind of coincidental that I started to just sort of think about all these different events and yeah, I know, 20 years.
Yeah.
And you really have, in those 20 years, you've just continued to grow and evolve. And, I was thinking how I looked, and if the internet is correct, which you never know, but I think I saw you in November of 2005. And then I think the following year at Frankfurt, I think you did a performance there, 2006
probably.
maybe?
Yeah, very likely. I mean, Milan Sonor, they were, I mean, I was always liking to hang out at these things. Like,
Yeah.
I loved the Frankfurt Music Fair when it was still going strong. I loved NAMM Show very much. And I'm that kind of a geek. You know, when people walk around, which I now totally understand, of course, when you have to do business there, when you are there for a couple of days, nothing is worse than a couple of kids like running around hitting cymbals with their fists or something, you know, because they
Yeah.
just, all
Yeah.
their fuses kind of burn through because it's like, oh my God, all this stuff that I always wanted to afford. And now I see it all in one spot. And I've just maybe seen an inspiring drummer, and now I can't contain myself, and I have maybe sticks in my back pocket. And whenever people were like, "Oh my God," again, which I completely understand from the industry side, but I always became very quiet and sometimes defended them because I was one of those kids, and I,
I believe it. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
walked around with the stick in my hand and had to test everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah. No, well, let's just take a little walk down memory lane for 1 second and and just play a little bit of that first performance at Montreal Drum Fest.
Oh,
And I know that, I just right up front, I'll say the quality is certainly not what we're used to seeing
yeah.
these days, but I did
Hey,
get
back
this.
then that was top notch.
It was top notch, exactly. But this is, I think it gives everybody an idea. I mean, I was sitting in the audience, and I would always go and I tended to the guys that were Zildjian, artists that I was there supporting. I might be side stage, or at a point though, over the years, Ralph kind of wanted all of us to not be around the stage, which I understood during the performances.
Making
But
the performers nervous.
yeah, making noise or something. But the best seat in the house to watch you and all the other performers was, in the back there, in that area in the back there. And
Yeah.
I remember this band. I remember you coming out,
Wow.
and it's just right out of the gate. So let's play a little bit of this. This is Benny Greb from 2005.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Montreal Drum Fest. Look at that kid. I love that part. Oh man. Thanks for indulging me and taking a walk down memory lane. And I'll just say, just coincidentally, when you and I got back in touch a couple of weeks ago, everybody watching at home, after we did the episode to celebrate our late great friend Ralph Angelillo,
Yeah.
Benny and I were in touch about trying to have Benny do his own episode with me, and you just got busy, and then the summer came and went, and we got back in touch again. So anyway, I was having lunch with Dave Maddox, great drummer,
Oh,
a
yeah.
couple of weeks ago, just a couple of weeks ago, and totally unsolicited during the conversation, we were talking about drums and drummers as we always do. And Dave said to me, "You know who I really like?" He said, we were talking about drummers that have all this technique and can do all these things that you do and all this facility, but play musically. And Dave said something to the effect of, "But Benny Greb to me is really the guy that's."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I said, we've been trying to find a date. We were just in touch. I think in the next couple of weeks, we're going to do something. So anyway, you were just had entered our
Wow.
thoughts.
I did not know that Dave even knew who I was, so I'm very grateful that you tell this story. He's a
Absolutely.
badass.
He's a badass. You're a
I
badass.
mean,
Yeah.
wow.
Well,
Yeah.
and the point to that, Penny, is, like as I listen to what you do more and more, and you gave me some links and pointed me to some music that I'm going to share with everybody. And we all just saw what you can do technically behind the drums. I mean, and that's just phenomenal what you do. But you
Thanks.
remind me, yeah, you're welcome. What you have been able to do, which I think is difficult for a lot of people to do, is put aside a lot of what probably would come naturally to want to do on a
Mm,
pop record, for example. Like I look at guys like Steve Gadd and Vinny Colaiuta and Jeff Porcaro and
the
you,
greats.
yeah, the greats
Oh, well,
that you can focus, and Dave Maddox, that have all this facility, all these chops, but you go in to do a job, and that job is to play on a pop record for an artist, and it's not going to be about drum solos. It's going to be about playing a great groove, coming up with a great part.
well,
So
thank you so much. I mean, well, I definitely don't put myself in that category like the other guys you mentioned. These are my heroes, but especially when you put when you made me watch this video now, it's, I see so many things. I had so many emotions watching this because I see someone who's searching, I I mean, this was my first try at kind of a solo thingy and a drum festival thingy. And I also gotta say, and we talked about it when we talked about Ralph, but man, the audience at the Montreal
yeah,
Drum Festival was incredible, right? It
yeah,
was.
they
I
were.
never
Yeah,
had this before, where you do like certain sounds, or people or you reintroduce like a melodic thing, and they're like, yeah, it's like
I know. It's like you're the
it was
Beatles. Yeah,
amazing. Yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah.
was amazing. And so I was shocked about that too. I, of course, was very nervous. But there are a couple of things, although rough, that are still important to me and I still value very much, and which is some form of motivic development, some melodic kind of ideas, and time playing and hopefully a good sound. I was crazy about
Hmm.
tuning back then already, and
Yeah.
really was a nerd about that stuff. And so although I see myself, and I still had hair, so that's tough to accept. But 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 so not everything got better, I'm telling you that much. But but and I don't want to hear any comment from Jeff Hamilton now. But
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get ready for that.
you guys are blessed, okay? But it's really interesting to watch these. I mean, and I had a bigger kit before that, and I basically stripped down. Like it was a part of a. I still had the two floor toms. I still had kind of the bongo stuff, and it then I stripped it down even more later on. And by the way, I had to laugh when the stick twirling came in.
Yeah. Yeah.
because Jeff cured me of that a little bit. Because he saw me do this stuff, because of course I loved it. I saw Steve doing it. With Steve I still do it, right? And sometimes I steal some of Steve Smith's stuff and then
Yeah.
do it too. But when Jeff is around or Peter Erskine is around, I'm holding that back,
Yeah.
because
You got to be on
Jeff.
your best behavior with those
Yeah,
guys. Yeah.
exactly. There's no fooling around with those guys. And he really took me aside once when there was like some going back and forth, playing some fours with some of the heavy cats. And I was being there trying to play some phrases and also then doing and he really took me aside and was like, "What are you doing? Like what
Yeah.
are you doing?" And and I then later realized that you know what, maybe because I realized I had gigs where I had maybe a great night. Everything was going, everything was flowing, and you think like, you know what, this is good. Like I can channel my ideas, I can listen, I can do my thing, and then you do a stick trick and people clap, then you feel kind of dirty.
Yeah.
And but the other thing is when you don't have a good night and nothing is coming together and you think, oh man, it's hard to focus and I don't think I play that great. Then you do a stick trick and people clap, then you also feel dirty.
Yes.
So I was like, oh man, I can only lose with that stuff. So I keep that to the encores now and like maybe some more playful stuff. But it's funny to see that it was still all there. And
Yeah.
oh
Well,
man.
that's some great insight into that. And if you'll permit me to comment, having been to many of these festivals
Yeah.
over the years, seen many great drummers, and us industry guys would always get a chuckle out of the fact that you could be up there playing the most incredible metric modulation, polyrhythm kind of thing. And and the crowd could be, sort of lukewarm to it. And then you just get into like a with your feet and maybe a little, and the crowd will just go bananas,
But
right?
I
I mean,
get that. I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
get
yeah,
that. I mean, you sit there and actually I think that comes across more live than sometimes with video, because when you sit in the audience and they have nice subwoofers and they have a good PA and stuff,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
there is some stuff going on, high and medium stuff, and then you have some deep kind of growling that you can feel in your chest. It's an experience, and we with our instrument can do that. We can, and this is always what fascinated me so much, that dynamics is another one that I heard there and that I'm
Mm,
proud of, that
absolutely.
because it's such a incredible tool and so underappreciated sometimes by us drummers.
Yeah, well, I made some notes if you just about that. I mean, and this was 20 years ago, the first time
Oh,
many
crazy.
of us saw you. And what I took away from that was dynamics. You mentioned tuning your drums. I mean, you already had the concept of having a great sound. Like you weren't
Mhm.
still that wasn't like a work in progress in my mind anyway. You
Okay.
came there
Well,
fully
I fooled
formed.
you.
You fooled me. You fooled me. But you came there fully formed as a very
Well,
mature, like serious drummer, like with a great sound, great tone. Like you said, the motifs of like the dynamics of bringing it up to here and then back down to here. And
well,
yeah,
thank you so much. I mean, that's great hearing that from you. Of course, you've heard a couple of drummers in your lifetime, and
a couple.
but but that's the thing. I love this Nietzsche quote that says, "Become who you are." And I think this is really an artistic endeavor of like, you know, can we strip away the fat a little bit? Can we make this, is this what I'm feeling close to? Should I put that on the pedestal a little bit more? And what is some stuff, some fluff that I maybe can get rid of? How can I be more precise kind of in my language and more articulated kind of in my, and this is of course this. And it's funny to see that some things I changed a lot since then, and some things have actually kind of stayed, and I kept and was like, okay, I'll probably keep forever. Like I love motifs and phrasing of that kind, and yeah, some simplicity. Like the wonderful Steve Jordan said, simplicity is not stupidity. So,
right on. Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of, and I hate to use it to in this circumstance, but in terms of simplicity, but excuse me, Benny.
I like the raspy voice, by the way. Keep it going.
Thank you. The Barry White voice, as you said during the sound check.
Oh yeah.
Man,
it has this thing of like you would have like on Star Trek Next Generation on the holodeck or something. You said like you said, man, when I heard you play 20 years ago, like this kind of stuff. I like it. Please continue.
I'm hoping my guy can clean it up in the editing. He can,
I doubt it.
I doubt it too. But anyway.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. This is so funny. This is so great. I thought we'd play a song that you referred me to, the pop tune, and I know there are many, but this is a song you referred me to by the artist is Mark Forster, and the song is For Immer Forever. Did I pronounce that correctly? Yeah, and I'll let you set it up, but this is how recent is this recording?
I don't remember 100%, but it's not more than I think maybe it was like 8 years ago or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, it's something like that.
2016 it says. Yeah. Okay, you're right. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, and this is I think just a nice contrast, if nothing else, to what we just saw. And then this song and this artist and this album was a multi-platinum pop record. And I think it just, again, it goes to the job of a drummer, which is you do what's right for that particular job that you're hired for. And in this case, you are hired to come in and come up with a great part, probably played to a click track, right? I mean, it was all, I'm guessing, done to a click. So you've got to have good time and, that ability to do that and have it feel good with a click.
Yeah, and I want to give them some credit, and also the producer and engineer. They basically had something like that programmed out or sampled or something like that, and then it was about even also recreating that sound, and they were very particular about that. So what you're hearing there is actually me in Spain outside in a tent. Because they like the dry sound of like an open space, actually. And there were avocados lying on the floor and dogs walking around. And then they mic'd it all up, cables going into the control room. And I turned the snare around. So, the thing, I think I saw that first with René Kremers, like back in the day, like really, or I think Zach Dancing also did that stuff. Like where it's really the reso head. I mean, this is dangerous to try out. So everyone who wants to try this now, like you will ruin maybe your reso head and maybe more. but it has this certain sound, this kind of almost low cut kind of electronic. Yeah, you hear it right away in the intro.
Yeah, absolutely. Great setup, because I would have thought that was something they did post-production, but
it pretty much sounded like that. I mean, of course, they did their EQing and everything, but it really sounded like that.
All right. Well, here comes the song For Immer Forever. The artist is Mark Forster, and of course, Benny Greb on drums.
Ich glaub, ich würd dich gerne küssen, wo zu Hause riecht wie dein Kissen. Und aufs Nein Gepär, ich lad dich ein. Wobei dir kann ich meine Schwächen zeigen. Aus wie heiß die Stadt, aus der du kommst. Wo deine Eltern stehen auf meinem Balkon. Und aus dem Wochenendtestlauf. Und mit dir will ich ein Nest bauen. Was ich such, Baby, das bist du. Das ist die Story, die ich immer wollte. Ey, komm, wir drehen noch ne Folge. Wir sind für immer, forever. Und ich will nicht, dass du heute gehst. Wird komisch, wenn du mal nicht bei mir schläfst. Und das zum ersten Mal Gefühle zeigen. Wut Jungs, ich geh heute lieber heim. Aus, ich bin mir grad nicht mehr so sicher. Wut, ich kann nicht fassen, dass ich dich hab. Aus, Schluss jetzt mit den Kindersachen. Wut, lass mal langsam Kinder machen. Was ich such, Baby, das bist du. Das ist die Story, die ich immer wollte. Ey, komm, wir drehen noch ne Folge und noch ne Folge. Wir sind für immer, forever. Von jetzt an bis zum Schluss. Ich geh nicht mehr weg, never ever. Bin bei dir, wenn wer mich sucht. Tätowier mir nen Anker auf meinen Arm. Darüber ein Herz mit deinem Namen. Denn wir sind für immer, forever. Für immer, forever. Ey. Für immer, forever. Wir sind für immer, forever. Ich geh nicht mehr weg, never ever.
Yeah.
Man, what a great tune. It's grown on me so much.
I had to laugh. There is a there's a part of the lyric where he translated said, "Let's stop being childish and make some children." So, I forgot about the ending already. I haven't heard. I didn't expect you to listen to the whole thing. I gotta say thanks for putting this in, because I think there are not many people who know that this is out there. I think if you get the special edition, the album was called Tape, a special edition box set you can have in the booklet. You can see, like, I think I played like 6 songs or 7 songs. I don't know anymore 100%, but I don't think that anyone really knows except maybe the band. And I also want to give credit to the drummer that plays there regularly, who is Rainer Callas, an incredible German studio cat. But yeah, it was great to be a part of this recording.
Well, that's great. Well, thanks for hipping me to it, because I think it was important to, again, showcase that side of you, you know, that, like you say, people probably don't think of. I wouldn't have thought of that, to be honest with you, Benny. You know, I know you're very creative and you create your own music, but I think it's really cool. You know, I keep talking about these other drummers, but one of my favorite Steve Gadd songs is a song by Paul Simon called "Slip Sliding Away." Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you know the song. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's just Steve playing, like, you know, I think brushes, really, for the most part, just these little splashes on the crash cymbal.
Yeah.
And it's not Asia. It's not Late in the Evening, or, you know, anything that he did with Chick Corea that's real complex. It's just this beautiful, moody, and you know, kind of the right part for the song. And
I think it's what drives me actually the most crazy about Steve is when he plays things that have no right to be that amazing and mesmerizing, and I love, for example, he sometimes does like on the hi-hat,
Yeah.
and there nothing more, and you think, oh my God. I absolutely love Steve Gadd. In 2 weeks he will play here live again. I will see him. Plays with
Oh,
a good
great.
friend of mine. Yeah. He now plays with Simon Auslander and Will Lee on bass. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Well, speaking of Steve, so I remember, there were all these, after that first time I saw you in 2005, you seemed to be everywhere. And I was thinking about when I was on tour with Steve, Mission
Oh
from
yeah.
God, 2010, and we were in Hamburg.
Absolutely.
And so everybody watching, so at the end of the Steve does this clinic in Hamburg, Germany, part of Mission from God Europe, and there's a packed
Amazing.
house. Yeah, amazing. And I'm walking, I guess I was walking out to the front of the venue, and I see Benny Greb in the audience, just kind of almost in disguise. You had like a hat on. I almost didn't recognize, and I said hello to you, and you knew who I was, and you said hello, and
Of course.
well, we didn't know each other
Norbert
well or
always
anything.
warned me of you.
Yeah, of course he did. Yes, watch out
That's
for
the
that.
surgeon guy. Be careful.
Be
Don't you
careful
hang
with him.
around with that guy.
He was smart. He was very smart.
No, I mean, honestly, maybe this is also a good moment to say Norbert is a man of few words sometimes, and what he says has a lot of weight for me, and he knows the industry very well. We know each other now since, man, more than 20 years and 25 years, I think. And he always spoke very highly of you, and he was like, he knows John DeChristopher, like he knows what he's talking about. He always had a lot of respect for you, and
That's very kind.
Yeah.
Likewise,
So,
too, for him. He's done an
guy.
amazing job there. Yeah, he's a really good guy, and huge respect for what he's done. And I will have him on this at some point too. I think
Oh, that
he'd
would be a
guy
great
to-
couple, you two.
Yeah, yeah. Talking about
That's great.
we could let all the dirt out there. But anyway, I remember
Yeah,
seeing you.
I think you could do some damage to both of you.
We could do. Well, he'd have to be more careful than me at this point, so he'd probably have to be a little more.
See.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
I-
the story you wanted to say is amazing because you were so kind. And I mean, I was just a fanboy, like standing around there, and you were so kind to say, like, "Hey, Benny, come on, like, come to the bus, like, come in, let's have a chat." And I, oh my God, and yeah,
You were very sweet, very shy. I remember you like, you sure this is okay? I'm like, come on, come on. And I told Steve who you were, and honestly, he didn't know who you were at that time, but he was very curious about, and I said he's a great drummer. I mean, a really great musician and a really nice guy, and
he gave me a great gift that night, actually, because I was in preparation. I think that must have been actually, I think that was 2009.
It was April 2010 actually. I just know that was the year of that tour, and you did Modern Drummer a month later.
That was it. So
Yeah.
it was the same year, actually. Yeah, because I remember that you introduced me to Steve, which I was embarrassed by. You said like, "Hey, this kid, he's gonna play Modern Drummer in a couple of weeks."
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah.
and then he was like, "Oh," and I think someone or him asked the question. So what will you do till then? And I said, because I said like, well, pissing my pants, I think. and everyone laughed. And Steve didn't and looked to me and said, "Yeah, it's a stressful gig, isn't it?"
Yeah.
And how kind and empathic and sweet is that?
Yeah.
It meant the world to me because I was afraid like hell. And I was, and to hear then Steve like being like, "Yeah, it's a stressful gig."
Yeah. That's great.
Amazing.
I didn't remember that, but I
man.
totally hear what you're saying, Benny, because
That's how he is, and that's
Yeah,
how he
that's-
plays.
Exactly. And he's the most humble guy, and he's not afraid to tell you that when he stands in front of 1,000 drummers and plays, he's not comfortable a lot of the time. He's
man.
he's really, I mean, there were times when we'd be he'd be doing one of maybe the headliner at a big drum festival. One time he followed Simon Phillips, and he said to me, we're standing side stage watching Simon, and Simon, of course, is Simon, and he's doing his thing. And he turned to me, and it was, he'll forgive me if he sees this, but it's true. He turned to me and he went like, like, why did you book me here? Like, why did you do this to me? Like, I can't, how am I going to follow that? How am I going to follow that? And we were that same year in the fall, we were at the Adams Drum Festival.
Yeah.
And he went on after Todd Sucherman.
Yeah.
And I said, Steve, you got to check out Todd Sucherman. This guy's great. He plays with sticks, but he's just a fabulous drummer. Really, really great. And we're standing side stage, and Todd is Todd, of course.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and he goes, Jesus, why did you make me stay and watch him? I'm going to go up to the dressing room and just chill out for a little while. So anyway, but I
mean, the crazy thing is, I think all of us think, and I caught myself with that thought right now when you said this story. It's like, man, if I could play and if I would sound and would have these ideas and these capabilities as Steve has, I probably would be confident and happy with it and finished with it, right? But I think the answer is, for better or worse, that if you would be confident and comfortable with whatever level you're at, you wouldn't get to that level that Steve has gotten to. Like, I think that's also part of his thing where he's like, yeah, he wants to give his best. He's detail oriented, but he doesn't forget the big picture of the music and really does his best for every gig, even like a drum festival like this, Some people would go on and be like, I'm this or that, and I can go out and do my thing. But Steve basically asks himself, like, hey, can I do good enough? Can I do this justice? And what an amazing, respectful thought to have for someone that is hired to entertain an audience or to play some music. He's the best. Incredible.
Well, I think you nailed it too. And I honestly, I do remember later asked me, might have been later that night on the bus ride or the next day, what was his name again? And I said, Benny Greb. And he said, and who does he play with? I said, he plays with a lot of different people and educator. And I think I even said, ask Rob Wallace about him, ask the Hudson guys about him. And he was kind of like going, yeah, cool. He was a nice guy. And I said, oh, really nice guy, so, but he always makes a mental note of that. Like if he's introduced to someone and he's not familiar with them right away, he'll file it away and later go, hey, play me something that he did or show me something that he did. I want to check this guy out. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I have one more Jeff Hamilton story if you want to hear it.
Yeah, I would love to hear it. Yeah.
When we talk about drum festivals, because this is also the stuff that I love so much, that there is so much banter going on and so much humor going on and also some ego crushing and like standing. I remember playing a London drum show once and I was playing, and at the side of the stage there was Keith Carlock, Omar Hakim, and Jojo Mayer, and you think like, I just want to go to the hotel, please. But the one of the coolest ever was Jeff Hamilton, who went on stage with his 2 toms, snare drum, 2 cymbals, stylish, small shells, of course, and but sound, brushes. Huge sound, brushes, like melody, everything, touch, and behind him, and like it goes, you have a couple of drum sets there and stuff. So there was a kid like a spaceship of Chad Wackerman, who did a lot of like in the Bozio kind of thing, like a melodic ostinato kind of stuff. There was Thomas Lang's kit, like the see-through one, the big one, and then his kid standing in front, and he came and got like you thought like there is more sound coming out of this thing than could ever out of 1,000 other drums, and he just schooled everyone in terms of musicality and style and grace. And then he stood up, took the mic, and said, looked at his kid and said, when I started to practice and play the drums, got lessons, like my drum teacher said, first you learn to play one drum, and then maybe we add another one. And then he looked around the stage with these huge kids and said, as you can see, I've not come very far.
Oh yeah,
I'll never forget this. I love that.
Yeah, he is so funny. I mean,
He's incredible.
talk about his playing. I mean, that's at another level, but he is so like in the moment, so funny. I mean, just incredible. And I remember
We
seeing
already
Jeff,
talked about two of my favorite drummers ever, like Jeff and Steve Gadd, and oh
yeah.
my God.
Well, I'll just say I remember seeing Jeff many years ago at Montreal Drum Fest, and he was playing Remo at the time.
Yeah, he played Remo Kids, right?
Yeah,
As well.
Remo drums at the time,
Yeah.
and he came out and on purpose did not want to mic the drums. Just played
Right.
4-piece kit, 2 cymbals, totally acoustic on that stage, and they sounded better than any drum kit that day sounded.
Yeah.
And it was and you know, you can give some credit to the drums, but it was Jeff. It was Jeff playing that. I mean, he's playing brushes. He might have had an overhead mic. It might have been like one overhead mic or maybe a bass drum mic, but it was not like a, you know, like a sound reinforced, you know, blah, 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 blah kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was a real lesson. It was a real lesson to like just music and musicality and dynamics and, you know, playing just incredibly softly, you know, soft and.
Jeff, when you're hearing this, you're such a show off.
Oh, and Jeff's watching too.
Oh, damn.
I take it all back.
No, he is one of the absolute greats, and I actually hope I'll get some lessons with him soon. But let's see.
I'm going to see him next week at PASIC, so he's going to owe me at least 1 glass of wine.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Drink one for me as well.
I sure will. I sure will. Well, let's play. You know, I thought we'd maybe play another video.
Okay.
You know, there's so much to cover, and I hope we can play some. You know, I'm enjoying just having this conversation because it's so good to have you open up and talk about all these things, and you're giving great insight to everybody. But let's demonstrate some more of your incredible versatility and playing. And I thought maybe we'd play something from the Vic Firth jams.
Oh, yeah. That's Spot and parts of the, also Mark Lettieri, parts of the Snarky Puppy band, actually. And Spot was the musical director there. Of course, did an amazing job. And that was at East West Studios, which is, for me, was incredible because that's where Sinatra like went in and out. That's where the Beach Boys kind of recorded stuff. And I was in heaven being like, oh man, I'm here. That's awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah, these were really, really well done shows that Vic Firth produced.
Yeah, Testa.
Yeah, Joe Testa, our friend Joe Testa, the Fonz, as we call him, Fonzie.
Yeah, they did well.
And so what I've done is that there's one song that I've kind of just cut in half. I thought we'd play a little of this, talk about it, play some of the second half in a bit.
Yeah, whatever you want. Sure.
Great. So here it comes. And this is, yeah, well, you've set it up perfectly. Here comes Benny Greb, Vic Firth jams.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Benny Greb. Yes.
Man, you know, the only
Great band.
criticism, yeah, great band. The only criticism is they show too much of the band, and it should be on you the whole.
You know
camera
what? Now that you say it, there is actually a drum cam only version on YouTube. They
Oh,
have these
there
different,
is.
yeah, they have these different versions. They even have one version where it's only top down.
Oh, I wish I
So,
knew.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
No,
well,
that's great. I mean, those players
yeah,
are fantastic. It
they
was
are.
so
Yeah.
much fun. And it was such a treat for me because apart from big band or like real orchestra kind of stuff, the most stuff I did back then, like with my own group, was like trio stuff and like small. So to have an arrangement with that many colors in such a dense kind of environment was just nice. And of course, great arrangement by Spud from a song that back then was already like almost 15 years old. Like this was one of the first songs that I've written on my first solo album, Grapefruit, it's called. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but he made it really nice for that band, like arrangement wise, because it was an a cappella tune originally, believe it or
No
not.
kidding. Okay, yeah. Well, you know, I was going to ask you too, the going back just to a second to the pop tune that you recorded. Was that something that did you write a chart for that, or did you need to
In that
did
case, I
you
really had to. It was one of these things where, I mean, when I teach, I also tell people always like, hey, when they tell you, here's the demo, and but forget about the drums, like really do your thing and blah blah. Never believe them. Never
Mhm.
believe them. Always practice either the one guy that you're filling in for, practice that part so you have it ready if they want to go back to it, or the same with like a demo programmed part or whatever it is. Even if you will not need it anymore, they will reference it usually at least
Mhm.
and say like, hey, but we had this thing in the B part and a little bit more like that. And when you then sit there and be like, but you said it,
Yeah, yeah.
like this,
Great
like
advice. Yeah.
so in this case, it was really they pretty much wanted it like programmed, and that went down to even the short stops. So you heard a mute there in the beginning, was
Mm.
something like that. And I played that. I played that live. But on the other side, they were so used to record kind of parts and loops still that there was one funny scene where they said like, okay, so I went to the control room, like notated it out, wrote some charts. And then I was like, okay, let's roll. And then we did the A part of another song and we did it. And then they stopped and I'm like, oh, maybe somebody was, and they're like, okay, great. That was great. Now we do the B part. And I'm like, well, I was about to do the B part. I would have continued if you wouldn't have
Yeah.
stopped. Like, oh wow, oh that's great. So they were very kind of, okay, let's get those two bars right.
Yeah.
Let's get those two bars right. And it was
Very
almost kind of
micromanaging. Yeah.
it was almost kind of a vintage. They were almost surprised about my vintage approach of like, no, I could play it through. But yeah, and I think it's a good thing to be able to do it. And since I grew up a little bit in idolizing guys like Gad and these cats, I loved drummers who were able to play big band the one day and to do a ballad the next one, or do a club gig at night, or do a straight ahead gig in the evening. And so that's what I always was striving towards as well. And it's what I still do. I had the pleasure to sit in with the Barry Rich big band. I do
Yeah.
my own group, and so it's kind of all kinds of different thingies. And not everyone does that, but I also do really like different kinds of music. I really do. And yeah, it's great to do that.
That's great. Well, we'll talk about your camp too in a little bit. Yeah, I mean, there's like I said in the intro, there's so many facets to what you do, and we'll try to get through a good amount of them today.
Thank you.
But whatever we don't, we'll make sure that we notate. But I thought maybe we'd play the sort of other half of that
Okay.
segment that I guess we could have played it all the way through, but
No, that's okay. Another background story is that on that morning I was still walking on crutches. I hurt my leg actually, and I didn't want to tell anyone.
oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I muscled that out. But
Wow.
yeah.
And the other that's some great insight too. And the other thing I wanted to point out, I'm sure everybody has noticed this, is that so often, at least beyond the Montreal Drum Fest, and so often when I see you, you're performing on a much smaller kit, like a 4 or like maybe a 5-piece when you have the side snare.
Yeah.
Again, it's just a great lesson, if nothing else, to how much music you can create on
Oh, thanks.
on a small drum kit. You don't.
You know what's one secret about it?
What's
I,
that?
th- there's I always try to get the biggest intervals possible. So
Yeah.
so some drummers have like two cymbals, two crashes, for example, and then it will be like they almost sound the same, and they go like and it's kind of silly. And I try to have like like completely the most opposite almost that I can get. And I do the same with toms. That's why I have a 16-inch and a 10-inch. This is really like a sea lion, like arr, arr, arr. And then you have almost the bass drum there, and the two snares as well. And I think this is part of it, at least, that I can choose like really, because normally when people have two toms, either it goes like in the jazzy thing or in the pop thing, or like, and I almost have kind of like an extreme of both that I can then choose. Or so yeah, I think that makes a big sound. At least also when you have headphones on and you hear a mix and stuff. I really like that, to have like these very contrasting sounds available.
That's a great tip, and I didn't realize there was that much of a contrast or interval between. I assumed that was like a 12-inch tom and
it's
like
a 10-inch and a 16, yeah.
And that explains it. Yeah, there really is a great separation. My limited drumming that I have, I'm the same way with cymbals, though. I definitely go for a higher and a lower pitch crash.
Yeah, it's so much fun to have different sounds. I think it also almost schools you to be more conscious of your choices. When you have a lot of sounds that are kind of similar, I think your subconscious also is like, well, it doesn't really matter. I just hit stuff.
Yeah.
But if you have almost surprisingly different sounds of like king bong, like very, like you engage a little bit more and think like, that was weird. You have to choose a little bit more consciously almost.
Yeah. Well, you kind of answered a question that I'd made a note of, talking about your setup. And I said, talking about using a smaller kit, 4-piece kit. And my question was, do you find that helps stimulate creativity, having, fewer drums and cymbals?
For me, it does, because and it's also a thing of the Montreal thing with the bongos and another tom and blah. Like, I sometimes feel that I had a phase where, and I think many drummers have this phase at some point or never get out of it, that one drum is one sound for them. And they say like one note, one note, one note, one note. Maybe I need another note. So let's get another drum. And there is actually a part in the first part where I then go in the in-between part before the solo, I go to the edge of the snare drum. And this is for me like another drum, really. It's like, okay, I play in the main part like this backbeat thingy, and then for the interlude, I will have this Gene Krupa rimshot thingy almost. It's almost like a side snare then. And then I'll go somewhere else. And then later I will use maybe the side of the tom or something. And so, yeah.
Yeah. More great insights.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Let's play that second half. Sorry, everybody. It's okay. You don't have to listen to me. You can listen to Benny Greb here.
You sound good.
Here we go. Yeah. So great. So
That
great.
was a good day. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. So, just jumping over to the drum camp, I want to make sure we get this in here a bit because I know that's really grown and it's really become a big part of what you do. When did you actually start the camp, Benny?
I almost started this 25 years ago, actually.
Wow.
Like I really started this first as a band camp. Like this wasn't a thing that I back then was like, okay, let's have like a 3-4 day, or I think back then it was more. It was like a 5-6 day maybe, a thing where musicians come together. We put them into bands, whether they like it or not. Like we just group them into like bands, and then at the end there will be a concert, and they have to write, rehearse, and perform like their own material at the end. And this was a lot of fun. I had a great team together. And then when my career kind of progressed, I realized like, oh man, like there are a lot of drummers that want to come to this thing and want to focus on the drums a little bit. So I kind of left that behind, but it's still going actually. It still exists, and my son now goes to those, which is crazy.
Oh, that's wild.
So that's full circle for me. I really stood recently at one of those camps and like with a little bit
Yeah,
emotional.
I'll bet.
It's just crazy. Anyway, so I then did like drum camps for drummers, and yeah, and this is really something I enjoy because it's a limited amount of people. I can still really intensely. It really is from early in the morning till late at night. Like every day we eat together there. We stay at the same place, and there's Bavarian food, so that's good.
Sounds great. Yeah.
And I think, and we also have guests now. So Peter Erskine, once a year we have a guest there. Peter Erskine was the last one. He appreciated the Bavarian beer as well,
Yeah,
and shared a lot of wisdom, and we had Steve Smith over. So for me it's an opportunity also to share my heroes kind of with people that want to come, and it's a big joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, we'll put more information about that, some links and so forth. The other thing I wanted to talk about too, just kind of going back to the very beginning, we were talking about your tuning, and you had this concept of your sound way back in the beginning, and I get the impression that, having worked in the business side of it, there were certain artists that I worked with that really had a great concept of sounds that would come to the company with ideas for, you should make something that does this and sounds like, Russ Miller, for example, is a great example of a guy that would present these schematics of, all we had to do is basically make it. He had already figured out how to do it. But and maybe you could talk about some of the products that you've designed and with the different companies, with Meinl and Sonar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, it was very thrilling to have like companies that listen and are interested in stuff like this. And you mentioned Russ. I think Russ and me, we are one of the fews. We actually prototype. We make our own prototypes. Like I heard that about Russ, that he really will show up with a contraption of like, hey, and I've been doing that over the years too, where I'm like, okay, you know what? If I wanna convince them of like, check this out, and it's actually, it doesn't start with the I want to convince them thing. It's more like I grinded cymbals myself, and I put them in weird positions and in weird elements, and tried to modify them, and did the same with the sticks a little bit, and took some sandpaper and a lathe and
right, the sticks,
and and it's just interesting to me, because for me it's like when I go very deep there and I really go full on nerd and check it out, then I almost never have to do it again, like at least not to that depth. And that's what I did with my signature snare drum and my signature cymbals, my signature sticks. And I think now I designed over 20 products for the drum industry over the years. And I'm very grateful that they have an open ear. And sometimes it doesn't work, Sometimes I come with something and they're like, man, I think we should really. And then like, nah.
But, well, that's important that you say that and understand that it's a business. But I have to think with the success the companies have had with your ideas, that they're willing to listen and try things, and because we only
bring out the good ones, of course. the ones, and also the thing about endorsement is I think it only makes sense when the artist really plays it and really believes in it, and because otherwise it's this thing. I mean, we all know some cases where a signature thing comes out, but you never see the artist with it, basically. And I always was one of the guys who's like, this is gonna be my snare drum now forever, and I will always play it, and and the same with the cymbals and everything. So yeah, and it's great. I mean, you've been on the other side of this. It's amazing to be like, okay, there's a company and there are artists, and we're gonna work together to make something for the market. Hopefully, that is it, sometimes something new, and sometimes maybe an improvement or just another flavor. It's so much fun.
Yeah, but I knew that about you. Just I really did. I sensed it that you were one of these guys like Russ that had thought all these things through, and it wasn't just an idea for a product that works for Benny Greb. It's like, I've come up with this idea for whatever it might be, and it can be used for this, that, and this, and
yeah. And I always record it all and make A and B comparisons and do blind tests, because sometimes a cymbal can look a certain way. You can kind of scratch it and have it like it looks dull, and you almost think it sounds dull, but that's not fair. You have to really be like, okay, I'm gonna record this and this and this. My sound engineer is always like Sven Peeks, an old friend of mine, and he's been doing my sounds and my albums like for decades, and he knows the drill already. We then are like, okay, Sven, I'm gonna come to your place. We have a couple of prototypes, and he then will, of course, is also ruthless, and he will just listen and be like, hey, you know what? And so yeah, I'm also very lucky that I now have also people that listen and go along for the ride a little bit.
that's great, man. Well, you've earned it. You have,
Well,
you know,
thanks.
and you've proven yourself as having the mind of the commercial importance for the companies. It's like you said, it's one thing for a company to make something just for you and you use it and it's a prototype and it's a one-off or something, but when you're pitching the idea, it has to have that commercial accessibility. So
But to be fair, it's not always 100%. I mean, I think if you bring out a signature instrument, it first of all has to be 100% good for you, because otherwise there's nothing there. And then you can say like, oh, hopefully people will like it. But I remember one of the most successful rides that I think Meinl has is the sand ride, and I remember someone from the Meinl team then saying like, really? And then I'm like, yeah, it has to be sandblasted like that, and listen, like there's less ringy overtones, blah, and this and then someone said like, it's great that you have the sound that you like, but this is not gonna sell very well. I don't think, like there was a person there and who was a little bit, and I was like, yeah, I don't care. Like it's really like so. But this was also one of the first products where I was really very egoistic. But it then also showed like, okay, it's sometimes okay to be like, you know what, if the sound is how you believe in it, you never know. Then maybe people will like it too.
well, you stood your ground, man. I kudos to you for doing that. And in the end, you were right, because that's people love that cymbal. It's a great cymbal. It's and as you say, very, very successful and popular. And
Oh, I like it very much. But I'm also biased, of course. Sorry.
Oh, man. Well, that's great. Well, I thought we'd play some more music and we can sort of wind things down a little bit. I know you're leaving to go on tour tomorrow, right? You're leaving for a pretty extended tour. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So
I will play a jazz festival with my brass band in Sarajevo. I have a couple of clinics in Switzerland, and yeah, it's fun.
That's great. Well, thank you for taking time. As you know, I was in London. I got back Sunday, and yesterday I was in no condition to do anything.
Oh,
and
man. Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
No. I'm glad we did this today, because I didn't want to have to wait any longer to have you on my show. So thank you.
Oh, man.
Barry White voice and all. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man.
Honor for me, too. I have to read you. David Aberzees, great drummer from the band Pearl Jam, of course.
Wow, yeah.
He said, Benny, I want to thank you for your language behind the kit. It is a language that is unique to you and has been a joy to attempt to understand what you're saying and why you say it. Always inspired playing that inspires players.
Oh man, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Wow.
David. Yeah.
He's a badass dude.
He's a pretty badass player himself, exactly.
Oh
yeah.
man, what a player. Yeah. Thanks.
Cool.
Wow.
Well, I thought we'd play, still got quite a few things to choose from here, and I thought maybe we'd play, this is from your record, Moving Parts.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a cool tune called Bunker that's got some really great drumming.
Oh, Bunker is one funny one because this was recorded with one mic only.
Wow.
This is an MD-21. I actually talked with Aaron Sterling about this once because he was like, "Man, like, dude," and I gave him the tip of this. This is an omnidirectional dynamic mic. Very early on, like German politicians used to have that when they were holding speeches and shit. And this is great. I have this in the kind of a cowbell position somewhere and really compressed. And this is the drum sound that you hear. It's only one mic. There's no bass drum. There's no overhead.
kidding.
Nothing. Yeah.
Wow.
So this is an interesting one from a sound perspective.
Sure is. Great setup. I would have never known that. This has got such a great sound to it. Here comes Bunker from Benny's record, Moving Parts.
Man. There it is again.
Yeah.
You selected a good one. This is one of the more crazy ones. I gotta
I
give a
had
shout
to.
out to Kid Downs on keyboards, who's also playing the bass with his left hand, and Chris Montague. So Moving Parts was a group. I think we did that for 5 or 8 years, something like that. And what a these guys. This was one of the most kind of movable, elastic kind of band that I ever had. It was really fun to just go to change tempo whenever you wanted to just like, and the
Really
guys would
free.
follow,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
very, very like very brave and very, and those guys would like they would, yeah, not hesitate to just go wherever you wanted to go. It's incredible, like incredible guys.
Well, I mean, when I listened to it, I listened to a bunch of the songs on that record, and that one just grabbed me. I said, "We've got to play this." I had no idea about the recording process, though, so that was great to hear that. And the bass drum, I'm guessing, was like a closed front head. Sounded like it was a. Do you remember?
No, it was like I
It was
always do it. Also a 20-inch with a little hole in the
little hole.
front
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
But because the microphone is so close, and maybe there's a little bit of floor tom also coming with it with the compression and everything. It's
Mm.
yeah,
It had so much tone to it. It sounded really, you know,
yeah,
those drums, Sonar drums have a lot of tone. So
mm, yeah.
yeah, beautiful, man. Let's see. There's another song I wanted to play before we wrap things up. This is a collaboration with you and our good friend, another legendary drummer, Gary Husband.
Oh wow, yeah. I
And
can't say enough good things about Gary. I mean, he's
oh,
a monster musician, and I was so glad that we made this work. This was actually a thing. It was just we met for 2 3 days and just improvised, and this is what came out. There was no
wow.
writing, nothing.
And how did, I mean, you obviously knew each other through just working in the business and fans of each other's work and
Yeah, I think more that I really always heard great things about him. I worked with a film composer called Colin Towns, an English guy who I was in his band for a couple of years, and this was also very crazy stuff. I got to know Chris Montague there actually from the Moving Parts band, and when he did something with the NDR big band in Hamburg, he sometimes asked Gary to play the drums. So I think, but of course his work with from Level 42 over Alan
sure.
Holdsworth
Yeah.
and John McLaughlin and everything. And I think I just asked him, like, hey, because I did an album called 2 Day Trio once with two friends of mine. And this was also the concept, because some of the other stuff that I'd done, like Grapefruit and the brass band stuff, is very heavily written by me. It's really like nothing is left to chance for the themes and the melodies and everything. And I wanted to go the opposite direction. So I said, like, hey, let's just meet and improvise and see what comes out. And this was a very nice and sweet little album. And then I thought, maybe I can do this with Gary just as a duo, like, because
Yeah.
Gary can do anything. And it was the first time, I'm telling you, that although it was only a duo, where I wasn't the best drummer in the band. So that's a little bit tough.
So
Because
Gary's playing keyboards on this.
yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And for people who don't know this, he is a phenomenal keyboard player as well as drummer.
Oh man.
Phenomenal drummer. And so but the song I selected is Immune System.
Hmm.
And is there a bass? Is Gary playing bass with his left hand, or am I not hearing a bass in there?
Is that the? Oh, I get the song titles confused. It's a while ago. Is that the this kind of oscillato thing? No.
Yeah. I think so. I'm going to play it right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you later
Okay.
what that was.
All right, great. Let me make sure I have my volume up here. This is Immune System, Benny Greb and Gary Husband, Greb Husband EP, and here it comes.
Ah,
not hearing a bass.
Yeah, he's doing it. My favorite
Man.
part is definitely Gary's piano solo there. It's incredible. Yeah.
But what you're playing underneath it is just so amazing. So hip and so cool.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to work with Gary again. We might do something together in the future again. We already flirted again a little bit through some texts. I can't wait. I think he's an absolute killer and a wonderful gentleman and human being.
Oh, he sure is. And he I agree. He's a genius like yourself. I mean, he's a musical genius
Well,
when it comes to composing.
oh,
You know, I mean so I mean, I have to say that when you guys wrote that part out and I mean, it was just so beautifully. Was one person or another more responsible for the composition, or did it just
I
kind
would
of come
say,
together?
I mean, Gary was afterwards very nice to say like, it's just make it 50-50 and stuff. But I will definitely say that the playing chords wise and melody wise, this is pretty much Gary's stuff. Definitely. Maybe I fooled around with form and made a suggestion of like, hey, let's do another part, let's do this part and blah. But on this one, I mean, like he's Gary Osmond, so what am I gonna say? That like and we then, but what we basically did, we didn't talk about it much. Maybe I started a groove and he jammed to it a little bit, and then we listened to it later and said like, oh, let's take that part. And then I had a nice in German, I had a whiteboard there, and I was like, I made notes and said like, hey, let's call this, we give names to certain parts of the jam. And then I say like, what if we say this is the A part? What if we say, so there's some organization quick going on, and then we do a take and go to the next one.
Well, that sounds like co-writing to me. That sounds like two guys collaborating and co-writing. So
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, yeah,
That's
Gary's
a
just incredible.
Yeah, I mean the whole record's great, and that one really stood out. I thought it'd be a great one to kind of almost wrap things up with. But
Mm.
yeah, I thought before we'll say goodbye, I want to thank everybody for watching today, and I want to thank you, Benny, for spending time with me today. It's been an honor to have you here with me. Thank
Oh,
you.
it's mine. Thank you so much, and thanks for holding through. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I got through it. My wife, I have to give her credit. She's been, kind of nursing me the last day or so since we've been home from London.
Supplying you with drugs and
Lots of water and hot tea. No drugs, no alcohol too. That's
hey,
the
would
key.
you pass a drug test right now? Like, are you? Is this?
They might find some Benadryl in my system, but that's about it. I promise you that.
I wondered how you do these things.
Man, we've had so many incredible drummers watching today too. I mean, besides
wow.
David Aberzees, and we had Jeff Hamilton. I see that Charlie Drayton is tuned in. And yeah, so thanks everybody for tuning in. I thought maybe I'm going to do something a little different today. We're going to sort of play out the show with one more song, and I'm just going to ask you to talk about it for 1 second, Benny. And it's a song that I found on your Grapefruit record called
Mhm.
Piano Piece.
Oh wow.
And it's a beautiful little, and I'm guessing this is you playing the piano in the song?
Yeah. Yeah. Funny. I mean,
Man.
this is a long time ago, but the first Grapefruit album was basically after I found my footing as a sideman and started to do some writing and started to give ideas into bands that I was in, was kind of like, okay, but what do I do with the ideas that I can't place with this band or this hip hop band that I'm in or whatever. And then it came, and this was one of the things where I was like, I don't know what to do with this, but I really like it. And yeah, it's me on a piano playing this thing. I'm very surprised that I haven't heard that one in a long time. So let's see.
All right. Well, good. I'm trying to make this a little
Wow.
different for you. So I think it's a beautiful piece of music. And
Thank you.
yeah, I assumed if it was on the record that you played the piano. And I didn't know you played piano. So
Oh,
it's fantastic. It's great. So let's play this and we'll say goodbye. Thanks for watching, everybody. Big hand for Benny Greb. And we're going to close out with this song called Piano Piece.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Benny. Hang with me afterward if you would, and we'll say goodbye in the
Sure, sure.
in the room. Thanks. That's a beautiful, long, sustaining note.
Thank you so much. You surprised me with that one. Thanks.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you so much for being here. What an honor.
Oh.
I hope to see you in person soon, my friend.
Yes, let's do that. You get healthy, and then we see.
I
each
will
other.
get healthy. Then we'll hug each other. I won't hug you until I'm
Yeah,
healthy.
yeah. Then no hugs and kisses now for you.
I was going to show everybody one last photo that I just wanted to share. I showed you this earlier. This is the last time we saw each other in person was the NAMM show 2017. And I've captioned this photo, 4 incredible drummers and me. And it's Russ Miller.
I don't think it's the last time we saw each other in person, actually, now that you say it. Did you remember me crashing into a booth at PASIC where you sat with Greg Bissonette?
Oh, what year was that?
I think that is just like...
oh, you're right, because I saw you at
like
PASIC.
2-3 years ago or something.
That's right. You're absolutely right. I meant to mention that I did see you, and you played beautifully at PASIC.
Well,
2022, I think, right?
Yeah, and Peter Erskine was also there. But yeah, sorry, I didn't want to crash this. This is a great photo.
That's right. It's a great photo. I wish we'd. That's right. I meant to mention that. That was a fabulous clinic there.
Look at me dressing so European, like even with the scarf, and everyone else has T-shirts and stuff. I mean, what's going on?
I think that's you stand out from the rest of us. You look hip and cool. You and Ash got the European thing. Us Americans look like Americans.
We just don't have our body temperature as regulated, apparently.
Yeah, so of course that's from left to right, Russ Miller, Benny Greb, Mike Johnson, Ash Stone, and myself. And and the great Benny Greb. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. You're so generous, and thank you for doing this and sharing this with all of us. I enjoyed so much, numerous episodes. So thank you for doing this, and hope to see you very soon. Thanks.
Me too. I hope so.
And thanks
too.
everyone for watching.
Yeah, great. Hang on one second if you would, Benny. Thanks.
Sure.
All right, that's my show. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, leave me a comment, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also download the episodes on all podcast platforms. And please visit my website, livefrommydrumroom.com, for upcoming shows and information on purchasing Live From My Drum Room t-shirts and hoodies. 100% of the proceeds go toward a scholarship I've created with the Percussive Arts Society. The link is also in the show notes. And you can contact me through my website or at livefrommydrumroom@gmail.com. And remember, no drummers are harmed on any show. And drummers, when in doubt, leave it out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you again real soon.